My name is Greg McDaniel, and welcome back to another amazing show of Real Estate Coach Uncensored.
And I'm Bernice Ross, and we have a really great show. It's Team Month at MN, and we're going to be talking about 10 costly mistakes that team leaders make. Greg, regardless of whether you're a new team leader or you've been doing it for a long time, there are certain mistakes if you make, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and it can actually cause your team to fail. So we're going to dive right into these today and see how many, if you're thinking about launching a team or if you are part of a team, take a look at what these are. And if you're making any of them, take steps to stop doing it now.
Let's tackle our mistake number one. This is not understanding the difference between a team and an agent partnership. And the really unique thing about this is that I personally have fallen into this, not understanding this. But the first question you must address when it comes to understanding if you're a team or partnership is the team or when you have a team, every transaction has to go through the team. No outside transactions, no side hustles, nothing like that. It stays within the boundaries of the team. In an agent partnership, transactions are permitted to be outside of the whole of the team. Now, every team and partnership is going to be a little bit different. Make sure that you guys operate on the way you want to operate, but that's a distinguishing difference. So everything in the team, or you can be a partnership and do your outside deals. So make a decision. Don't fall in this first trap. Another important thing you guys really want to consider when it comes to a team is that you want to have a team email. So like for myself, my team is the McDaniel Callahan team. So I have Greg at McDaniel Callahan. We also have an email that goes team@McDaniel Callahan. That goes to both my two business partners and our team manager and myself, so that everybody's included on when it comes to doing transactions. So make sure you guys take that into mind and make sure don't fall into this number one trap.
Greg, I haven't heard anybody use that idea of team at the team name. And I think that's really a good suggestion because the team works on transactions jointly. Now, the next problem, this problem takes place whether you're doing the team model, if you are doing an agent partnership, it even happens in brokerages. And you'll get two people who come together. So say you and I are going to start a team. And what do? We're going to split this 50-50. Now, if we disagree, how are we going to resolve that disagreement? Because neither one of us can make the decision. So here's how to handle this. You have to make the decision when you first start. Who is going to be the 51% partner, the one who will have ultimate decision-making power when there's a disagreement? If the other person doesn't trust you to do that, or if you don't trust the other person to do it, then don't form a partnership because someone has to have that decision-making possibility. It's one of the biggest things that causes agent teams to fail. So, Greg, the other thing that you need to look at when you start a partnership, whether it's 51-49, you're in a three-way partnership in your team. So at least you get two people to agree. But if there's two partners, regardless of the partnership agreement, you need to do this right at the beginning, is to set up an exit plan. Do this when you start the team. What happens if a team member gets ill, incapacitated, dies? How does that happen? What if somebody wants to leave the team who's one of the partners? Who has buyout rights? Can one person buy out the other person? And how do you establish that? You want to have all those procedures agreed upon in writing at the beginning, because when it happens, you're prepared for it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, my team and I, we don't always have, but we have had issues in the past. One of my team members and partners got injured recently on a motorcycle accident and nearly ripped his leg off. Thank God he's okay. But he was incapacitated for months. And so who's going to pick up the slack? And talking about the exit strategies, that is like we always laugh about. Contracts are written for the bad times, not the good times. And so you can go back to the actual contracts in case something goes south and sour.
Get it in writing. And even if you're dealing with your mother, get it in writing because stuff can go sideways. Okay, now I want to talk about mistake number 3. Agents get this great idea. I'm going to start a team, but what they don't realize is, okay, you're already stressed. You're going to start this team. You want to take some pressure off of you. But when you start the team, you now become, if you have somebody else in the team, you're now responsible for supervising them, for doing management. Are they, you have to handle payroll, you've got to handle taxes and legal operations and procedures. You have to handle all these management issues, and people aren't aware. They're salespeople. And quite frankly, if you're a rainmaker like Greg is or I am, we're generally not good on the management side. So Greg, this leads us right into number 4.
Number 4 is hiring a buyer's agent first. Guys, with Gary Keller and his book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the point he made is that your first 2 hires should be administrative. And why would that be? It's because when it comes down to your production and your service, if you can't serve your clients at the highest possible level by taking things off of your plate, then you're doing a disservice to your clientele that are now trusting you with a large purchase or a large sale of their life. You need someone who's going to be able to do the things you don't have time to do. Isolate and identify where you're best at and hire for where you're worst at. Therefore, you'll be able to give someone who really likes doing something you don't like to do their joy in life. You can go do things they don't like to do. My team manager, Eileen, hates being on camera. Like she hates it. I love it. She likes doing paperwork. I hate it. We work very well together. That is myth.
And that's one of the biggest mistakes that agents make. They hire people like themselves. So think I'll get somebody who's another high D like I am or DI. And that is, first of all, you're hiring your competition when you do that. You're looking, so make a list of all the things you like doing, then make a list of the things you have to do, you hate to do. And there's your job description for your first assistant.
And that's the easiest part about it. Just write down everything you hate to do. Who likes to do that? Okay.
That's your job description, and it really does work. One more caveat here. Do not hire a buyer's agent until you have your systems and processes under control. Like Gary Keller said, your first 2 hires are administrative, and you want to take transaction management off your plate. You want to take the filing. You have a virtual assistant. What is she doing for you?
For me, she does all kinds of stuff. She does lead generation. She does follow-up. She does marketing. She does text messages, emails. She manages my geofencing. And then literally she sends me spreadsheets and we update it in a Google Doc where we can both live fire back and forth with notes. And then at that point, I give her access to my calendar. She just books appointments for me after doing, she's the sifter. She sifts. And then once the nuggets of gold fall out to the bottom, she puts them on my calendar. So
now, Greg, this is really an important this is what you're looking for when you're hiring any kind of assistant, someone who takes things off your plate like Greg's assistant does.
And that's the other thing that my team manager does. And just to kind of dovetail off of what you said, I have not, and she's a licensed real estate agent, so there's no issues there here in California. I have not written a contract in probably 15 years. She writes all my contracts, handles all the communication between the agent and the clients. If there's a fire that erupts, then she'll bring me in. But otherwise, she handles all of that, and she allows me to go out and do the lead generation, production, videos, and everything else. But between these 2 ladies, Eileen and Karen, my life is so much easier.
Well, Karen would be a listing specialist if she writes, whoever writes your contracts for you, that's a listing specialist who may work hand in hand with you as the rainmaker on the team to be the person that handles that. Now let's go to mistake number 5, which is failure to create a job description and procedures manual for each position on the team. I just told you how to create the job description for your first hire. Write down what you hate to do. So that's a starting place. But in terms of the description, you may want to consider, you want to have, the rainmaker, which all of us, most of the people who are going to start a team are familiar with being the person who generates the leads on the team. Licensed or unlicensed assistant, transaction coordinator, office manager, a buyer's agent or showing assistant, listing agent or coordinator, and a marketing or social media coordinator. So depending on how you decide to grow your team, one of the things you can do is when you hire that person on, who's your assistant, you can have them start documenting the steps that you take to close a transaction, or that you do when you take a listing. You start documenting the things or how you do your marketing, and then they can do that job description just by following you around and seeing what you're doing. You can do it yourself by job. If you want to, you can write down, I do this, I do this, I do this. You just keep a little diary of the steps you take, or you can have that first hire do that.
Let's move on to number 6. And this is the failure to use behavioral assessment when hiring. Now, when you use Target Training International, that's the DISC assessment. This is going to really talk to you about who the right hire is going to be for the right position on the team. So a high D is a dominance and a high I is an influencer. And these people are extremely outgoing. I am personally a high D and a high I. I don't want to hear a lot of stuff. I just want to hear the basics of it. Tell me exactly what you're going to do. And then I want to go hang out with everybody. But there's 2 more. We have the S and the C. Bernice, what are those?
Well, before going on, the D is the high drive, get it done that Greg's deciding. So it's like, get it done. I want to get to the bottom line and then let's go hang out. That's I. So that is the profile of top producers. The S and C factors, S is steadiness. These people are systems people. You think of a lot of teachers and lesson plans, and by the profile of a teacher is an IS, high influencing with high S. Steadiness, get things done. They drive things to completion. Slow to trust, they're very loyal employees. So you're looking for that because those of us who are Ds or Is, the Is in particular, do not get stuff done that well. They'll talk about it, but they don't get it done. These will get it done, but they won't get the details. And then C, these people are they are the compliance people. So someone who's accounting, who does software, they can do they can write codes. They can be perfectionists sometime if they have this as a very strong factor. These are the people that you need taking a look at your books, reviewing contracts, reviewing any advertising. You want that detail. There are a lot of versions of the DISC out there, but there is one factor that Target Training International has found that predicts sales success at the 72% level, regardless of the industry. And that's a factor called the utilitarian factor. If someone scores high on that, their likelihood of being successful in sales is going to be it's going to be about 72%. So what this means is the person is practical, kind of figure out, they're good at finding the solutions to problems. So they have a practical bent. You can talk to them about doing something, but they'll probably say something, well, how am I going to make money with that? Show me how this is going to work. Again, so in terms, just to briefly review here, DI, Rainmaker, S and C for your admin. If you can find an ISC out there that has great people skills and SC, hire that person. They can do almost anything. So this is, if you get that profile. Let's go on to number 7. And this is the curse of all teams. It's and brokerages, almost anybody is, hiring the wrong person. And to just to give you an idea, if the salary you're paying is $25,000 a year, the cost of wrong hire is about $100,000 to your business. But yeah, so the question is, how can you make sure that you got the right hire? Well, first of all, it's really important that you do at least 3 interviews, because anyone can bring their A game once. So the first interview, you just want to call or have someone that they don't know call this person you're thinking about hiring and see how they are on the phone, because this is how they're going to be when they interact with clients. And they could just be calling off of something else just to see what they're like. The second piece you want to do is you want to interview them to see if you're, in your judgment, if they are even going to be a fit with your team. You do not want to disrupt your team's what they're doing to waste time on somebody that you're not going to hire because you've weeded them out on the first 2 steps. Then the final step is having them meet with your team members to determine if they are a fit for the team. And if you get someone, if you find that you've hired someone who's a prima donna or who's not a fit, they say be slow to hire and fast to fire. Get rid of them. I don't care how much money they are making you. They can destroy your entire team and your business. Pay attention to that. Now, Greg, you had a really good example with this personally. Something happened to you and your team.
Yeah, you know what? Unfortunately, Bernice, we did not follow the rules you just laid out in front of us, and I think they're absolutely brilliant. I love the phone call idea because you're going to hear their voice. You can't see them in person. They can't put on a good show for you. And we've made 3 bad hires. Again, I'm high D, high I. I am not someone who is into the weeds on stuff. So I'm go by the seat of my pants, and that is my fault when it comes to this. We hired a couple of gentlemen, 2 of them who interviewed fantastically, but our team did it together, not independently, which another one of our mistakes. And again, this is all a learning curve. Everyone's growing. The gentleman that I'm going to talk about was a younger guy. I had trained him at my past brokerage. He wanted to join our team. And so he came in, interviewed great. I said, okay, let's do this. He was energetic. 2 weeks into our working together in our team, he comes into the office and very stern-faced told me, and keep in mind, he had 1 year of law school, so he thought he was an attorney. He told me that he needed full partnership if he was going to continue the work on our team. And I said, there's the door. And the prime example of not hiring the right people, because these people were not fit for our culture. Our team was made up of 4 people at this point. We call ourselves the core 4. We have each other's backs, and you need to find that other side that will do that for you.
Let's go on to mistake number 8, failure to ask the right questions on the interview. A good interview starts with preparation. Go research through social media. If they have been in another brokerage, look for reviews. Again, you want to find out as much about them as possible before they walk into that interview. And then the second thing, be clear about who you want to hire. What is the culture of your team? How, what are the values? What is your vision? You want to ask about that person's vision and values and where they want to go, where they want to be 5 or 10 years from now. And see if they're in alignment with what you want to do. And by the way, if your team likes to have fun, you don't want to hire a sourpuss.
No, ma'am.
So you're looking for that cultural fit as well. And then when you're interviewing them, ask them questions that are situational questions. And so if I was interviewing Greg, I might say, Greg, last week we had a problem with with a multiple offer here in the office, and this is what happened. How would you have handled that? You also want to check on any recommendations that they may have. Contact these people to talk to them about this person. If they recommended them and they cited them as, absolutely call and find out. Ask them how they would overcome objections that you may have heard from a seller or from a buyer recently, or something that, someone in your team may have brought to you as a challenge they're facing. Ask them, this was a problem one of our team members had a couple of weeks ago. How would you have handled this? So you're getting them to actually think about how they would do it, but you're also seeing how good they are at solving problems. And don't be shy about giving them a tough problem. You want to hear how they're going to do it.
So, Bernice, let me ask you a question back really quickly. When in regards to interviewing someone, at what point do you know when they're not the right fit?
Sometimes, almost immediately. So spend some time, talking to them, be nice. And it may be obvious to you that they're not a fit. What you can do is just, quite frankly, just say, if you want to tell them that they're not a fit, fine. Or if you just want to say, we have one position open right now. We're interviewing multiple people. I'll get back to you with our decision. So that's another way to do it. But that's up to you. Some people are, I know the high Ds out there are going to say, well, they're not a fit, but you don't want to have bad press in the community. So you always want to treat everyone that you talk to with respect. Thank them for coming in, for taking time, and take that chance to get to know them, find out what matters to them, and then connect with them over those things, because you took time to listen and find out what matters to them. It's a good chance you're, if they're with another brokerage, that person didn't do it. So something to keep in mind.
Great advice. And I live by that credo. when it comes to always be kind and courteous, like you said, you never know when you're going to need that other agent on another deal. Never burn bridges, always stay professional, and be grateful for them and their time. All right, Bernice, let's move on to mistake number 9. And this is the costliest mistake you can possibly do when it comes to compensation errors that a lot of us have made in regards to our teams. The number one thing you need to do when it comes to building a team, you need to analyze and assess what your overall cost is to operate your team on daily, monthly, weekly, yearly basis, right? Then you take that off the top of every single deal. Doesn't matter if it's a big deal, small deal, doesn't matter. That needs to come off the top. And so if you're at a 50-50 split with your team members, the net to your team members would be essentially potentially 42.5% after deducting the overhead expenses. What a lot of team members and agents don't do is they don't take off expenses, and the team leader or the rainmaker or anybody else who's in charge or has that 51%, like Bernice and I were talking about, all of a sudden it starts coming out of their pocket, or they have to put money in. And that really poses a problem because there's going to be a lot of animosity that builds up. There's going to be, finger pointing of who needs to do what. So assess your costs, analyze them, deduct them off the top, put the splits in at the bottom. I mean, for our team, what we do is we take 30% off of the top of all of our commissions. Obviously, our commission with my company, there's a certain amount that we cap at, and then then obviously that goes away. But we take that 30%, we put it into a account so that we pay our expenses, we pay our employees, then we leave the excess money in there in case there's something that comes up, or if we want to do big marketing, ploy or something like that. We have the ability to do it without doing a cash call from our own personal bank accounts. So guys, set this up. There's a lot of different variations for it, but it is an absolutely essential way to build a team.
Greg, this is such a great piece of advice. It is a reserve for emergencies.
Reserve.
Yeah,
Reserve,
and
correct.
that is, especially if there's a downturn in the market or something, you've got that money available when other agents are struggling. It's great to have that backup. Let's go on to number 10. This one is a huge one that almost no team leaders address, and this is treating your team members as employees instead of independent contractors. And let me give you the guidelines here. If you require someone to be in the office at a specific time, to go on open houses when you tell them to do so, to go pick up, put stuff in brochure boxes, do you expect them to go on the listing appointments you tell them to go on, to use your tools and systems? You have to hire them as an employee. That is the definition of an employee. The way, if you are going to work with independent contractors, so say that Greg and I are on the same team, I'm the rainmaker, he's my listing specialist. All I can do with him is say, Greg, here's a lead, go handle it, because that's how you treat an independent contractor. Okay, and my recommendation is, if you need clarity on this, talk to a labor attorney, because this is one of the biggest sources of litigation and where you can really get into trouble. If a team member that you have treated as an employee files a complaint with the labor department against you and wins, you can be on the hook for not paying the IRS their federal withholding tax if your state has federal taxes, for not paying FICA, plus all the required benefits you're supposed to pay. You can be on, and plus the penalties. You're on the hook for that. So this is something to really take into consideration. If you're going to work with independent contractors, then you've got to treat it like a referral. And quite frankly, if you're working inside an office, your broker or your supervising manager has responsibility for overseeing what all team members do. So if they're still on the hook for supervision, and the question is, how much supervision can you do as an agent? Agents cannot supervise another agent. That's the only person that's given that right in the real estate law is a supervising broker or manager. So I got a little bit in the weeds on that. So Greg, to kind of wrap up for today, I want to raise one other question. There's a third model we haven't talked about. It's the referral model. And our good friend Iris Serkis came up with this a number of years ago. And he was, at kind of a crossroads. He was saying, well, do I want to become the most successful team in Berkeley, or do I want to be the happiest agent in Berkeley? And he opted for the happiest agent. So what he decided to do, he set a very strict set of criteria. He only works with people in a certain price range, a certain distance from his home, very well qualified. He is very specific in who he works with, and they've got to be fun. If they don't meet all those criteria, he refers them to someone else. So his first year that he decided to use this model, he made over $60,000 in referrals with no hassles with running a team, no accounting, no supervision. Just send that 25% referral back to me. It closes, I get paid, life is good.
That's what that is a happy agent right there. Analyze, do you want to be the top agent? Do you want to have the biggest team? Do you want to have a happy life? Do you want to have no stress? What's the most important thing to you? I have actually done this recently for myself, and it is very liberating to come to clarity for this.
So, Greg, to wrap up for today, what's your final takeaway?
Guys, go out there and figure out the exact kind of team you want to build. Do you want to be an independent agent? Do you want to be a referral agent? Do you want to build a mega team? But figure out what's most important to you, and then absolutely execute on it, and never apologize.
That's a great way to end. Thanks for being with us today.